The cost of cruelty. The moment Evelyn Harper pushed my disabled son's wheelchair toward a busy street, I saw her cold satisfaction, as if she'd just solved a neighborhood nuisance. The roar of an approaching truck still haunts me, along with my son Caleb's terrified cry as his chair rolled toward danger. Evelyn, our HOA president, stood there, arms crossed, her smug expression daring me to react. This wasn't a mistake. It was a deliberate act of cruelty, and it changed everything. My name is Daniel Sullivan, a widowed father and retired paramedic living in Maplewood Heights, a quiet suburban enclave in Ohio. My son, Caleb, is 10, paralyzed from the waist down after a car accident 5 years ago that also took my wife, Laura. Caleb's a bright kid, obsessed with dinosaurs and comic books, with Laura's warm brown eyes and a laugh that lights up my world. We moved to Maplewood for a fresh start, hoping for safe streets and a welcoming community. Instead, we found Evelyn, a woman who turned rules into weapons and saw my son as a flaw in her perfect neighborhood. What would you do if someone endangered your child just to prove a point? I'm not here for revenge. This is about justice, about a father's love standing firm against hatred. Stick with me, because this story will make you question how far you'd go to protect someone you love. 5 years ago, our lives were shattered. A drunk driver ran a red light, smashing into our SUV. Laura died instantly. Caleb's spine was severed, and I walked away with scars and a broken heart. I left my paramedic job to focus on Caleb, who needed me as much as I needed him. After years of therapy and grief, I chose Maplewood Heights for its tree-lined sidewalks and promises of community. I bought a ranch-style home near a park, perfect for Caleb's wheelchair, and kept to myself, paying HOA dues and following rules to avoid trouble. But trouble found us in Evelyn Harper. In her early 60s, with perfectly styled gray hair and a wardrobe of crisp blouses, Evelyn ruled the HOA like a dictator. Her Navy sedan was spotless, and her lawn was manicured to perfection. She'd fine kids for leaving toys out or scold retirees for unapproved flower beds. At first, I ignored her side-eye glances at Caleb's wheelchair. Every neighborhood has a busybody, right? Then the letters started. Typed on HOA letterhead, they were icy and personal. Your son's mobility device is damaging community pathways. Please restrict its use to maintain property values. They never used Caleb's name, reducing him to a problem. I wanted to confront her, but Caleb was finally smiling again, so I adjusted his wheelchair's tires and avoided her favorite routes. Still, Evelyn's complaints escalated. When I installed a portable ramp at our front door, she showed up with a rulebook demanding its removal. Standards matter, Mr. Sullivan, she said, her tone dripping with false sympathy. Exceptions breed chaos. It wasn't about the ramp. It was about control. Evelyn didn't just dislike Caleb's wheelchair, she resented his presence. I swallowed my anger, but I should have seen the storm coming. On a sunny April afternoon, Caleb and I headed to the park, our daily ritual. He was chattering about velociraptors, his hands animated. Evelyn stood on her corner lot, pruning roses, her eyes locking onto us. I nodded curtly and kept moving, but she stepped onto the sidewalk, blocking our path. We need to talk, Daniel, she said, her voice sharp. Your son's chair is ruining the pavement. Those scuff marks are an eyesore. We're on a public sidewalk, Evelyn, I said, keeping my voice steady. We're not breaking any rules. Her lips curled. You're taking advantage of our patience. This neighborhood shouldn't have to bend for your issue. Caleb's hand tightened on mine. He's not an issue, I snapped. Her eyes narrowed. If you won't listen, I'll handle it myself. Before I could react, she grabbed Caleb's wheelchair and shoved it hard toward the curb. The chair lurched forward, rolling down the sloped sidewalk toward Main Street, where a delivery truck was speeding closer. Caleb screamed, his arms flailing. I sprinted after him, heart pounding, but I was too far. Then, a stranger man in running geared up from across the street, grabbing the chair's frame just as its front wheels teetered over the curb. The truck's horn blared, missing them by inches. Caleb was sobbing, clutching his chair. The man steadied him, turning to me. Is he okay? I nodded, breathless. Thank you. That man was Tom Reynolds, a retired firefighter new to Maplewood. He'd seen everything. Evelyn, pale and stammering, claimed she only meant to move Caleb. Liar, Tom growled. You pushed him into traffic. A teenage girl, Sarah, had filmed it all on her phone. Neighbors gathered, murmuring. I called 911, holding Caleb as he whispered, "I thought I was going to die, Dad." Something inside me broke. This wasn't about rules anymore. It was about evil. Sheriff Linda Carter arrived, her face grim as she watched Sarah's video. Evelyn spun a tale about Caleb rolling forward accidentally, but the footage was undeniable. Her deliberate push, Caleb's scream, the truck's near miss. Tom and two other neighbors corroborated the story. "Did you touch the child's wheelchair?" Linda asked. Evelyn stayed silent. She was arrested for reckless endangerment, assault, and attempted negligence, her hands cuffed as she was led to the cruiser. Tom stayed with us until paramedics checked Caleb, who was physically unharmed but shaken. "I've seen cruelty," Tom said, "but this was intentional." He was right. Evelyn didn't just hate Caleb's wheelchair, she hated him. That night, I couldn't sleep. Caleb clung to his stuffed Triceratops, Dino, as he slept. I stared at the faint tire mark on the sidewalk, a scar of that day. I'd kept my past quiet, but no more. As a paramedic, I'd learned to read people, gather evidence, and fight for what's right. I called an old colleague, Detective Mark Ellison, who dug into Evelyn's history. He found similar complaints from her old neighborhood, targeting a disabled veteran and a deaf child, both dismissed for lack of proof. It was a pattern. The next day, I called an emergency HOA meeting. The board, Claire, Roger, and Susan, looked nervous without Evelyn's presence. I laid out everything: Sarah's video, the police report, Evelyn's past complaints, and her discriminatory letters. "She's not protecting us," Roger admitted. "She's bullying people." I revealed my background as a paramedic and safety consultant, demanding Evelyn's suspension and a review of her citations. The vote was unanimous. But I wasn't done. With Tom and Mark's help, we organized a community forum. Over 80 residents attended. Caleb, in his favorite Avengers shirt, sat beside me as I spoke. "My son loves dinosaurs and superheroes. He almost died because someone couldn't tolerate his wheelchair." The video played, gasps filling the room. Neighbors shared their own stories of Evelyn's harassment, unfair fines, and cruel remarks. We passed a new rule. Accessibility accommodations were exempt from citations, with me as the compliance officer. Evelyn's trial was a reckoning. She faced charges of reckless endangerment, assault, and disability-based civil rights violations. In court, her lawyer claimed it was an accident, but the evidence was overwhelming. Tom testified with calm authority. She wasn't scared. She was pleased. Sarah's video sealed it. I took the stand, voice steady. "My son deserves to live without fear. Letting her walk free tells every disabled kid their safety doesn't matter." The judge agreed, setting a trial date. Evelyn was indicted, and her reputation shattered. The HOA banned her from all functions, and her once-perfect home racked up violations. Neighbors stopped pretending they hadn't seen her cruelty. Justice grew quietly. Caleb and I walked to the park without fear. Neighbors smiled genuinely. Claire proposed a community project for ramps and accessible playgrounds, asking me to lead. I agreed, honored. Caleb's confidence returned. He organized a dinosaur-themed block party, teaching kids about T-Rexes through a small telescope. His laughter, pure and strong, was my victory. At Evelyn's sentencing, the courtroom was packed. She was convicted on all counts, facing years in prison under hate crime enhancements. Her empire of control was gone. Outside, advocacy groups praised Caleb's courage, inviting us to speak at a local summit on inclusion. One evening, Caleb pointed to the faded tire mark. "Will it ever disappear, Dad?" "No," I said, kneeling. "Some marks remind us we're stronger than what tried to break us." He grinned, like Dino's torn ear. We laughed and kept walking, free at last. What do you think about Evelyn's actions? Have you faced injustice or cruelty in your community? Share your thoughts in the comments. Should violence like this face harsher penalties, or is redemption possible? Your voice matters. Let's start a conversation.